Hi, I'm Alison. I was the stage manager on Theatre Nanorg's musical, Eye of the Storm. Here I am outside Theatre Nanorg with Ralph the dog. Ralph isn't my dog, by the way. He belongs to our director Gaynor. Here she is with me at work. I've been lucky enough to work on 2 versions of Eye of the Storm. First here at the Dylan Thomas Theatre in 2017 and then on tour in 2019. I wonder if you can spot the difference in the pictures coming up. On the first day of rehearsals, the company gets together to read through the script, and Carl, the designer, shows us his set and costume plans. This is a photo of his set model. It shows the caravan, the school tables and rotary dryer, and the area on the right is where the band will be set up. This is Carl modelling a wig he made for the character Angela, Emmy's mum, who was played by Hlinos. This is Hlinos. I think she looks better in that wig than Carl. Don't tell him I said so. Before we start rehearsing the play, we do a mark-up. We put tape marks on the floor of the rehearsal room to show the space that the set will take up. Then Geraint, the production manager, Mike, the sound designer, and Matt, who operates sound, set up the band and sound equipment. The actors set up their instruments. At the start of each day, I make sure that we have everything ready for the rehearsal. I set up the room for the scene we're about to work on, which means having the relevant props ready to use and putting furniture in the right place. Sometimes this means having stand-ins, called rehearsal props, until the actual piece of furniture or prop has been found or made. Here's a barometer I found at an antiques fair. I sent this photo to Carl. He liked it, so I bought it and then he painted it. And here it is being used on set, in the caravan. This is my view of rehearsals. It's my job to watch what's going on and make notes in my script, which is called the prompt copy, or the book. I make notes and draw diagrams to show where the actors move on stage. This is called blocking. When the actors stop using their scripts, I might need to prompt them by telling them their lines if they forget. Some actors need prompting more than others, but I won't embarrass anyone. Towards the end of each afternoon, I discuss with Gaynor what we plan to do the following day, then produce a rehearsal call sheet to email everybody to let them know what the schedule will be. This includes what scenes or songs we'll rehearse and at what time. It might also include calls for costume fittings, accent coaching, and movement or choreography. Whilst we're rehearsing, lots of ideas might come up between the company about any aspect of the show. I write up rehearsal notes so that each department is aware of any changes or requests. Things like this. Eye of the Storm, Rehearsal Notes 8, Friday, 30th of August. Props and Design, Note 1. We will now need 5 items in the washing basket that need to be light enough to waft around easily by a fan. This includes a red top for Angela. Note 2. Is it possible to fly the mirrors for Permeate the Salon? Sound and Music, Note 1. We will need a mobile phone ring for Angela in the van. Page 63, Scene 13. Note 2. There should be room at the far end of the rehearsal room for empty flight cases on Monday. Costume. No notes today, thank you. Lighting. No notes today, thank you. Video. No notes today, thank you. Production management. Note 1. The tables need to be trimmed on Monday, and is it possible for them to be lower? Note 2. The new tornado box needs to be built in time for movement rehearsals with Maggie on Wednesday, please. Many thanks, Alison Palmer. Come on, Ralph, it's time to pack up the rehearsal room and get to the theatre. When we finished rehearsing in Neath, we needed this enormous truck to transport all of our kit. That's instruments, the set, sound, lighting, video, props, furniture and costumes. Can you see the big wooden box on the back of the truck? That's where all the costumes are. I'm in charge of making sure the props, dressing, furniture and costumes are packed and labelled carefully. Everything needs to survive for weeks on tour. Some things that are used, moved or even referred to by the characters in the show are called props, and other items that make the set look right are called dressing. Our caravan had lots of props and dressing. I make a list of what those things are and where they need to be set for the start of the show. It's called a setting list. There it is, in front of the toaster. Other props and furniture that start off stage, out of sight, are also put on the setting list. This is behind the caravan, an area not seen by the audience. Small props and bits of costumes that the actors collect during the performance are put on props tables backstage like this one. Props tables are always marked out with white tape and labelled so the actors can find their props easily. It can be quite dark backstage, so it needs to be very clear. On Eye of the Storm, I also looked after the costumes, which meant doing washing, ironing and any repairs, as well as packing them away when we were on tour. This is the wardrobe in Edinburgh. Can you count how many shirts there are there? Nightmare. Actually, I quite like doing the laundry. Meanwhile, back on stage. Once the set and all of the equipment arrives at a theatre, we do the get-in. Yep, we get it all in. We check where the centre of the stage is to match it with the centre of our set, and also we check where the lighting bars overhead are. The set needs to be in the right position for the lighting to work. Then the crew rig the lights, the set is built, the sound and projectors are rigged, the set is dressed by stage management, and then lights are focused, video is focused, and the sound is checked.
Very lit.
I don't think Dan's taking this sound check very seriously, do you? Finally, we're ready to tech. Technical rehearsals are all about getting the right sound, look and timings for the show. The actors need to be heard and seen at the right time, in the right place, with the right prop in a beautiful, sympathetic and dramatic way. A way that fits with their character and the scene they're in. This is when the creative team work together to make a show ready for performance. We plot lighting, video and sound states in agreement between Gaynor the director and Eleanor the lighting designer, Andy the video designer and Mike the sound designer. Everything is inputted into their relevant desks and I write down the cue points in my prompt copy. Technical rehearsals can take quite a long time, 2 or 3 days. It can be complicated getting all the technical aspects to work together. The actors need lots of patience because they have to wait for us to make decisions and try to get everything right. They're asked to stop and start over and over again, and sometimes they have to stay in position for a long time whilst we get lighting right, or sound levels right. Tech is my favourite time. When we run the show, it's my job to tell the operators or crew members exactly when to activate their cues. On Eye of the Storm, I was responsible for pressing the go button for when we first performed the show in the Dylan Thomas Theatre in Swansea. I operated lighting and video on a computer system called QLab. Last year on tour, I cued John to operate. Here we are, ready to start the show. We all wear headsets with microphones to communicate during a show so that neither the audience or the performers can hear us. There's a very specific way of cueing a theatre show. First, the stage manager asks the operator to stand by a cue. This is the warning to be ready. They then reply, standing by, if they are ready, and then at the right moment, we give the go. When the tech is finished, we do a dress rehearsal. We start at the beginning and run through to the end without stopping, a performance without an audience. Before we start any run-through or show, stage management reset all of the props, furniture and costumes. We use our pre-show checklist to make sure everything is in the right place. And of course, we sweep the stage. Members of the Eye of the Storm company, this is your call for warm-up, please. This is your call for warm-up. All members of the cast to the stage. Thank you. Hey Rosie, that's my job. Can you just stand by to be Emmy, please? Can you put my headsets down? Thank you. Caitlin, I really appreciate that you like seeing the daylight, but we have to close the doors now. Levy and Cleanos, finish your chat behind the caravan. This is your call for warm-up. It's lovely music, James, but we really need to start. And boys, stop playing video games. It's time to warm up on stage. Kieran, why are you wearing that wig now? Finally, we warm up and run through a song before getting ready to perform. I give the actors calls to count down to the start of the show. I give the half-hour call 35 minutes before we start and end with beginner's call 5 minutes before we start. Beginners lets the cast and crew know it's time to go to their positions to stand by. Once the audience is in, the front of house manager lets me know that the venue is ready for us to begin. This is called clearance. I stand everyone by for the top of the show, wait for them to respond, and then I give the cues for the start. Something like this. Q Lab Q1, go. Band and Bud on stage, go. Q Lab Q2, go. Emmy on stage, go. I continue like this throughout the performance, following the action on stage, making sure the changes happen at the right time. After the performance, I write a show report, letting the company know how long the show was, how many people attended, who operated sound and lights or worked backstage. I'd note if anything went wrong, either technically or with performances, but also note if anything went particularly well and how the audience responded. The show report gets sent to the creative team so that everyone is kept up to date with how the show is going on tour. We played at 7 venues on tour and met amazing in-house staff who helped us set up, run and strike the show. At Swansea Grand, the crew liked to put our leftover dry ice in their sink, adding a dramatic effect to their tea breaks. Occasionally things do go wrong. One of the projectors stopped working just before we let the audience in on our first night at Swansea Grand. As the stage manager, I had to keep the company and the venue informed that we would start late. John, our technical stage manager, and the crew flew the projector in to see what the problem was, but as time went on, I had to make the decision not to continue trying to fix the problem, but to plan how to rework the scenes to keep the story making sense. The whole company was brilliant at working under pressure on Eye of the Storm. When we were ready, Gaynor went on stage to thank the audience for their understanding and patience. When things go wrong in the theatre, it can be quite stressful, but it's also exciting, especially when the changes work and you get great audience feedback. It can be hard work on tour when you're travelling from place to place, staying in hotels away from home and family. The hours are long getting the show in and ready to perform, doing shows and then getting out and moving on. But with our fabulous Eye of the Storm company, we made the most of the places we visited and the time spent together. I hope you've enjoyed my introduction to stage management. I block and schedule, prompt and cue, I stay calm but have energy, I run rooms and rehearsals and shows, I wash and sometimes iron, I set and reset, note and report, check the cast and crew are happy and ready. I take my work seriously, but I have the best fun.
You and I, when the storm it rages on outside, I won't mind, 'cause at least I feel alive. At least I feel alive. At least